Welcome to Glitches to Gold, a weekly podcast birthed from my obsession with living a successful life. It began with chasing an Olympic dream and resulted in a 30-year obsession explored through sport, neuroscience, psychology, energetics, quantum mechanics, religion, art, and beauty. Sometimes chasing and achieving external markers, and at others experiencing the absolute opposite. Yet both taught me the same undeniable truth, and I'm here to share what I have discovered in the journey of mastering the alchemy of life, turning glitches to gold and success into overflow. If you like the podcast, share the love, like, rate, and subscribe on your favourite platform. Hey, my loves, Jo Warwick here, and I'm just jumping on to let you know that this episode is going to walk you through the 4-step formula I have used basically to manifest pretty much everything in my life and what I use with my clients. And it's actually taken from a episode that I recorded for my former podcast 4 years ago. I wonder if you'll notice a difference in the way that I speak, the way that I've evolved, but I can tell you that the formula is still exactly the same. And in fact, I was thinking about how much has changed since I recorded this. So I hope you enjoy. Today, I'm talking all about enlightened business and money. And the key word in that is enlightened. But what do I mean? Well, lifting all that weightiness around having a business, having money. We make it so heavy, we make it so dense. And what it means to be enlightened about working with the universe, working with the power of vibrations, working with the power of attraction. And I thought I'd introduce you to my 4-step formula to pretty much manifesting anything in my life, and has worked for my clients, has worked for me, has generated everything from houses to partners to money up to 7 figures for high value clients, everything in between. I've just healed myself through breaking my foot, etc., using exactly the same techniques. I use it for everything, and it can work for you. Now I'm just going to share with you this very simple 4-step formula of simply release, align, allow, receive. That's it. That's the 4-step formula to manifesting anything you want, and very particularly manifesting in your business and in money. And when I'm talking about enlightened business and money, we want to shift the vibration. You've probably experienced in the business world, and as an entrepreneur, you probably have had a whole load of negative mindset, negative energy, very masculine focused about it being hard work and a struggle and difficult, and you've got to prove your value, and you've got to work until you burn out, and all of those messages that you've probably experienced in jobs, you've experienced in business, you've experienced around money, you have all these family stories. And I'm big on shifting those beliefs, shifting those ideas, but it's also so much more than that. And the first stage of any form of manifestation is about release. Releasing resistance, releasing the heaviness. And this is the absolute key part to any form of manifestation, because you've got to be willing to release what's in the way. And I often like to think of it like a big fat boulder in a river. You're going to have some stones, you're going to have some bigger rocks, but you're also going to have some big fat boulders that are simply blocking the river. Now, the river can flow around most things, but when you get big, fat, heavy boulders, which are restricted energy, unreleased beliefs in your field, in your energy field, in your body, and in your life, they manifest then into your life. So you've got to sort of declutter. You've got to be willing to let go. You've got to be willing to release the old emotion that's trapped from experiencing in your life, trauma release. This is where people fall down, because they're like, but I don't want to go there, and it's going to be too much hard work, or it's going to be really scary. But in fact, releasing is the easiest thing in the world. It's simply letting go of the fight to letting go, which is where people fall down. But once you get over that, and there are a million ways you can do it. I have certain methods that I use with my clients that are very simple, very easy, very quick. And there is no healing crisis, which I'm a big fan of. But when I worked as a psychotherapist, it was a much longer process. Now, with energy healing, with my combination of techniques from everything from NLP, hypnotherapy, to body work, I combine everything to my spiritual healing stuff. It's a very quick, fast process. And I've had clients literally shift a block in an initial clarity call and then manifest a job that was like 6 figures, way beyond anything that they had imagined that they could call in, within an hour. And I've had other people manifest money for their houses that they've wanted to buy for so long, and then literally manifest the house and the money so quickly within a week when they've cleared the blockages. I've had people line up flats and move journey across country. I've had people literally attract 10 clients in a week doing nothing, not even advertising, not sharing anything, because they've opened the gates. And that's what it's all about. I'm just quickly interrupting this podcast episode to say, firstly, I absolutely love having you in my world. If you love this podcast as much as I do and you want it to grow and expand, please feel free to give a little gold. You can find the link in the show notes to donate to this podcast and its continued reach into the world. It's about that big release, letting go of what's in the way, and the universe is usually showing it to you, and then aligning with the truth, and then allowing it to happen. And it's the allowing also that's a very sticky part. People think they have to work really, really hard and assert their will on the universe. And so they think they have to work really hard at knowing what they want and where they're going, and they assert their will. Whole load of rubbish that's not needed, but you have got to follow aligned action. So if you're taking the subject matter of your business, and you might be thinking other areas of your life are flowing, it's because simply you have more resistance in your business. Or other areas of your life might be flowing, but you're just not getting the money or the high pricing or the high level clients for that pricing because you have more resistance. And it's the resistance that has to go, and then aligning with your truth, and then allowing it to flow in and taking that inspired action and receiving. And it's taking the steps. And of course, another good tricky part people fall down on is often that bit in between while it's catching up. The bit where you need to relax. Relax and enjoy and chill out and have a good time. Yeah? Now, I use this formula for everything. Not just in my life, as I said, in my clients, but it's the formula and the basis of my effortless sales program. It's the formula for any of my programs around money, my money programs, any of my programs, everything I've been doing for the last nearly 30 years has all been founded on this. And I've got very clear about it. I've had to learn about it. I've had to get over my own resistances about it and accept that I'm working with the universe and it's showing me what's in the way and what's not in the way. But it's down to you. If you want that shift to happen where you're not having to work hard and you're not having to make it really sticky and difficult and have a load of resistance because somehow you're wanting to make it have more value, or because you have family stories that say, well, it was really hard for them and I have to make it really hard for me. And often that we feel let down or abandoned, or we've got to do it all by ourselves because we don't trust the universe. These things get in the way. But when we come back to this formula of being willing to release, align, allow, and receive, it suddenly gets a lot easier, because you're simply saying, do you know what? What if it's already done? What if it's already done? All the components are done. The universe has already heard me over my lifetime, choosing and deciding what I want and who I am, because you've already put in a whole ton of years, for me, 46 years of that. A whole ton of my life where I've been deciding and picking and choosing and working out, and the universe already knows. So your only job has to be in learning to do your part, which is the release, align, allow, and receive. So, of course, this formula goes deeper. But this is the overview, and you can do it by yourself. But you know what? The truth is, it's a lot faster and a lot easier to have somebody who helps you with the pitfalls, where you fall down with the lack of faith, where you fall down... Faith is having a role in the background. So she's having a good time. But having someone who knows the process, who knows the path, and helps you come back to yourself over and over again, and stops you falling down where you don't have faith and you fall into doubt and fears and old beliefs, is really important. Yeah, when I was training as a professional sportswoman, riding towards the Olympics, I had a ton of coaches. I worked with gold medalists. My coaches were all gold medalists, and they knew the path. They knew how to get there. They knew what was in the way and what I was doing wrong and what I couldn't see, and that's the point of it. Yeah. And when it comes to manifesting, it's so important to have somebody there who can help you. Now, I have gone through a sticky part here, and my resistance in my body was some old stuff that needed to go, and I have had help from other people. I have received fantastic help from Erica Oakley. Absolutely loved her. Fantastic. Had some hypnotherapy with her. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I also had a wonderful session with Amna Gull. brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. She came into my life as well. I downloaded a meditation that I did for myself from Source, and that's been fantastic. I've listened to some Steve Nobel stuff, which has been great. I've just followed the impulses, the guidance to sit with. I've also had chiropractic treatments. I've taken aligned action, and each step has got me closer and closer to now being super free, super healthy, super fit, very, very happy, feeling free and flowing. Yeah, life is good. And so there's those actions, those step points. And sometimes we often also fall down in this process of wanting it be like, well, I've wanted to manifest this. I've thought about it and I've done this little bit of work and now I'm not receiving it. And often what you're receiving is sometimes the next steps, but you're not seeing it. You're not seeing the next steps because you're resistant to it being a journey, an unfolding journey. Some things manifest straight into your life. Some things take longer. Some things are stepping stones and must be enjoyed as the stepping stones to the next point. Because if it's done, sometimes it's simply how long it takes you to get there. And sometimes those stepping stones need to happen for the purpose of what you've got. And sometimes it's to do with your resistance. So celebrating each part is really, really important. And in your business is like a baby. You wouldn't expect it to just go from being a baby to a fully grown adult straight away. You would expect it to go through a process of growth. Yeah. What happens in the first 6 months, to the first year, to the first 5 years, to the first 10 years, for the first 20 years, it's very, very different when you go from being somebody who's earning £1,000 a month to somebody who's earning 5,000, 10,000, 100,000. Is a very different process. Yeah. You've got to be different. So the manifestations are there in exactly the same way of these stepping stones to move you up to each level. But as long as you come through the formula, it's the same thing. But it's easier when you have somebody alongside you. I hope you really enjoyed today's podcast. And as ever, if you want to find out more about Glitches to Gold, first off, hit the show notes. Number 2, head to www.glitchestogold.com, where you can find absolutely everything that's available for you to take the next step, from the £1 million portal to the money story reset, to, of course, the secret feminine tax, decoding the matrix, the perfect place to start. So if you've really enjoyed this session, just go and click over there. Don't forget, if you like this podcast, love, subscribe, rate, share it with every woman you know. And I look forward to speaking to you next time on the podcast.